If you are a business user, I really think that overnight, ChatGPT just became 10 times more powerful.
Now, today's live stream is all about how we've helped bring your organization's unique work context directly into ChatGPT.
I just watched OpenAI's entire live stream, and honestly, I think they've just solved the biggest limitation that ChatGPT has had for business users. Now, at 9X, we've trained over 3,000 business professionals in AI and automation and worked with hundreds of companies to improve their team's AI literacy. So when I see an update like this, I immediately think about the real world impact. And there are two things that OpenAI demoed that I think are way bigger than people realize. We're going to break down their new connections feature, as well as them announcing MCP support. And I'll show you exactly why I think this could be a big shift for how businesses use ChatGPT. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this isn't just another feature update. This is ChatGPT becoming your actual business partner, understanding your specific business context. The first thing they showed solves a problem that has been driving me crazy since day one with ChatGPT. Here's the thing, ChatGPT has always been smart, but it's been completely blind to your actual work. Sure, you can ask it to help you work on a project, but it has no clue about the specific project you're working on, what your team discussed yesterday, or what information is sitting in your CRM right now.
And opening that, you'll see that deep research now not only connects to the web, but to all of your favorite apps. Everything from GitHub to Gmail. I'm gonna go through and toggle on a few that I'm particularly excited about for this next query. I'll do HubSpot, and then Outlook, SharePoint, and Teams.
Take a look at this part of the demo. They're asking ChatGPT to analyze deals in HubSpot, cross-reference that with Teams conversations, and pull from SharePoint documents all at once.
And when I wanna ask ChatGPT, you take a look at HubSpot and tell me what open deals are most likely to close that overlap with our company strategy. I'm gonna have it cross-reference those with any discussions and kickoffs that we have in SharePoint, Teams, and Outlook.
So these connectors basically let ChatGPT peek into your work apps. Gmail, Google Drive, HubSpot, Dropbox, GitHub. The key thing is that it respects your organization's existing permissions so that you can only see what you'd normally have access to. Watch how comprehensive this research report is. It's pulling from multiple sources simultaneously and actually connecting the dots between them.
So you can see in ChatGPT, the models put together some really great summary insights, some top Q3 opportunities in a really good table too. So it shows us opportunities, deal stage, close dates, revenue, strategic fit, cross-reference discussion. And the awesome thing too is that it's pulling all of the different citations from all of the different sources that we've hooked it up to. You can see HubSpot, Teams, SharePoint, and Outlook all put together here. Again, this is the kind of work that would have taken me, hours to do, and we got it all done in minutes.
The interface is surprisingly simple. There's a new sources dropdown in the deep research mode. You select which apps you want it to search, ask your question, and then it goes off and does what would normally take you hours of researching between different platforms. I'm thinking about questions like, what are our biggest opportunities for Q3? Which of our enterprise clients are likely to churn? And what are the biggest client issues right now that I should know about? The sort of stuff that would normally require you to become a digital detective across 5 or 6 different apps. But here's where it gets interesting. There's something else that they announced that I think is actually more significant, even though it sounds super technical. One thing I've noticed from helping companies set up AI workflows is that every business has their own unique mix of tools. Maybe you're using some sort of custom CRM or have a specific database that is perfect for your needs, but isn't one of the mainstream apps and often doesn't get integrated. Check this out. In their demo, they're using something called WhiskerDB, which is obviously a made-up database for their fake company. But the point is, it is a custom system that they built a connector for.
What's that WhiskerDB?
That is not a typical first-party connector. That is a custom connector powered by MCP, or Model Context Protocol, that I've loaded up into ChatGPT.
So MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and I know that sounds quite technical, but basically it means that developers can now build custom connectors so that AI can connect to any system, not just the big name apps.
We're excited to announce that ChatGPT is now supporting MCP custom connectors, building on the work that we've done with the Responses API over the past month. What this means is that if you're an admin for an enterprise or team workspace, you can connect a custom MCP connector and publish it to your organization. In fact, the HubSpot connector that we just demoed wasn't built by us, it was built by the HubSpot developer team. and it's the first MCP custom connector that we've published directly in our registry.
They mentioned there that it was actually the HubSpot team that built their own connector using MCP. It wasn't even built by OpenAI. This opens up an entire ecosystem where any company can potentially build their own connector. For enterprise teams, this means that IT can build custom connectors and publish them for the whole organization. And for individuals on the right plan, of course, you can build custom sources for your personal ChatGPT. Look at all of the connectors they're launching: Box, Dropbox, GitHub, Gmail, Google Drive, HubSpot, Linear, Outlook, SharePoint, Teams, and that's just the beginning. This means that we're not going to be limited to the basic Google or Microsoft setup anymore. Any business system could potentially become a source of knowledge for your company's ChatGPT account. Now, as excited as I am about this big update, there is one limitation that I found when digging through the documentation that I did want to point out. Right now, these MCP connectors can only pull in data into ChatGPT. They can't take any actions yet. So you can ask ChatGPT to search your CRM or analyze your product data, but for instance, it can't create any deals in HubSpot or create tasks in Linear. It's read only for now. And speaking of limitations, I actually tried testing this with some of the more popular no-code MCP servers like Zapier, N8N, and Make. And right now, none of them are working with ChatGPT's MCP. I'm getting an error that these platforms' MCP servers do not meet ChatGPT's guidelines, but I'm very confident that these platforms will update their MCP servers pretty quickly. They're not going to want to miss out on a ChatGPT integration. But just that you know, if you're planning to connect your existing automation, you may need to wait. But honestly, I think this is the next logical step. Once they get the data integration solid and figure out the security implications, I'm sure they're going to start adding action capabilities. And that's when this really becomes your AI business partner that can not only just analyze, but also execute. Now, currently, this connectors feature is only available to the Team, Enterprise, and Education plans, as well as the Plus and Pro plans in certain regions, but more often than not, OpenAI eventually roll this out to everyone. Okay, so here's my take. I think this might actually be the biggest update since ChatGPT for business users since ChatGPT launched. And here's why. It's not just about connecting to apps. It's about ChatGPT finally understanding your specific work context. Instead of being this generic assistant, it becomes something that knows your projects, your team decisions, your customer conversations. The MCP piece specifically gets me thinking this could get really interesting really fast. When anyone can build a connector to any system, ChatGPT stops being limited by what OpenAI decide to integrate. But I'm curious to hear what you think. Do you agree this is as big as I think it is, or am I getting way too excited about what is essentially just a bunch of app integrations? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to stay on top of these AI updates as they roll out, hit the subscribe button. I have a feeling this is just the beginning.